My delusional GF told me, don't stand next to me. I don't need people thinking I date you. You'll ruin my image. Weeks later, she found out who really ruined whose image. Hey Reddit, my girlfriend thought she was destined for bigger things and decided to reinvent herself. I, Anthony 27 male, went along with it for a while, even supported her, but the way she started treating me made it obvious what she really thought of me. One moment in particular opened my eyes, and from then on, I knew things weren't going to end the way she expected. So my girlfriend Jenny, 25 female, thought she was the next big thing on Instagram. She used to have a decent job in retail, steady paycheck, benefits, the whole thing. Then one day, she announces she's quitting because her brand needed her full attention. Her brand, like she was Nike or Apple or something. She gave me this long speech about how being an influencer is the future, how she just needed 6 months of runway to blow up online. 6 months where I'd cover rent, utilities, groceries, the boring peasant stuff, while she used her savings to fund her business expenses. I figured fine. Let's see how serious she is. If she could actually make something happen, good for her. If not, at least I wouldn't hear later about how I never believed in her. Spoiler, she wasn't serious. Business expenses turned out to mean shopping halls, designer coffee, and flying across the country to take selfies in rented Airbnbs. She started acting less like my girlfriend and more like I was her unpaid intern. The way she'd bark out stuff like, "Can you hold this light for me? No, higher. No, lower. Ugh, you're messing it up. Like, sorry, I didn't realize I signed up for film school." At first, I let it slide. I told myself it was temporary, that she'd get it out of her system. But over time, it was like she saw me as part of her props. The boyfriend was supposed to be in the background, not messing with the aesthetic. Meanwhile, I'm the one actually paying for the aesthetic. Fast forward to her big Europe trip. She planned this 3-week content creation tour with her 2 influencer besties, Billy and Karen. Think budget Kardashians. The deal was this trip would be her last big push before the 6 months were up. After that, she'd have to start contributing again, because I wasn't going to bankroll her forever. I drove her to the airport. We're rolling up to the check-in counter when she spots Billy and Karen. They're decked out like it's Paris Fashion Week, even though they're about to sit on a cramped plane for 10 hours. They take one look at me, normal dude, comfortable clothes, and give each other that quick side-eye smirk. You know the one. Jenny freezes, like she just spotted a paparazzi camera. She spins around with this panicked look and whispers, "Okay, you can stop here." I'm confused. "What do you mean? I'll walk you to security." She sighs like I just asked her to help me churn butter in the middle of the terminal. She glances at her friends, then back at me. "No, don't stand next to me. I don't need people to think I'm dating you. You'll ruin my image." And there it was. Not a goodbye kiss, not an "I'll miss you." Just pure panic about being seen with me. For a second, I almost laughed, because it was so insane that this girl who couldn't even afford her own rent thought she was too good to be seen next to me. The guy literally funding her little dream. She wanted me invisible, like a stagehand pulling ropes behind the curtain while she performed. I looked past her at Billy and Karen, both pretending not to eavesdrop but smirking anyway. I looked back at Jenny with her full glam makeup and fake confidence. And then everything clicked. Every time she talked down to me. Every time she acted like her life was more aspirational than mine. I didn't argue. Honestly, I felt lighter than I had in months. I just smiled, nodded, and said, "Yeah, you're right. Wouldn't want to ruin your red carpet moment." Then I let go of the luggage cart, told her, "Have a great trip," and walked away. No dramatic fight. No scene for her to use later in some teary Instagram story. Just me walking out. She stood there frozen, not knowing what to do, probably expecting me to chase after her, or grovel. But all she got was my back walking out of the terminal. I could practically feel her ego glitching behind me. As soon as I hit the parking lot, I pulled out my phone. She was going to be gone for 3 weeks. That was more than enough time. She thought she was about to build her brand in Europe. She had no idea her whole brand at home was about to get remodeled. By me. And trust me, I had plans. The drive back from the airport was the most peaceful car ride I'd had in months. Just me, silence, and the thought that I was finally free. At first, the petty side of me wanted to go full scorched earth. I imagined pulling into the driveway, grabbing a trash bag, and just tossing every single one of Jenny's sequin dresses, ring lights, and overpriced serums straight onto the front lawn. Let the neighbors see it. Let her walk up to her own circus tent of junk when she got back from Paris. But then I calmed down. That would give her exactly what she'd want. Drama. A story she could spin. My evil ex threw all my stuff on the lawn. Can you believe how cruel men are? Nah, I wasn't gonna make it that easy for her. If she wanted to play influencer, fine. I was about to be the producer, director, and editor of her exit. First stop wasn't even home. I drove straight to the dealership where I bought the car she loved parading around in. For the record, I had my own car for daily driving. Nothing flashy, just solid and mine. But Jenny? She always wanted a shiny black SUV, the one that made her feel like a celebrity when we pulled up anywhere. She insisted on taking it every time, just so she could snap photos leaning against it like she owned it. Newsflash, she didn't. The car was in my name, paid for with my money, and I was done letting her ride shotgun on my dime. I walked into the dealership, found the sales manager I'd dealt with before, and said, "Hey, remember me? I want to sell the SUV back." He looked surprised, probably because most people don't unload a barely used luxury car on a random Tuesday afternoon. But then he caught the look on my face. The look that says, "Don't ask questions, just print the paperwork." They did a quick buyback appraisal. About an hour later, I walked out with a very nice check in my pocket and zero regrets. Step 1, complete. Jenny loved that car because it made her look rich. Now it was gone and she hadn't even noticed yet. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I was feeling good. But walking into the house? That was a whole different punch of reality. The place looked like a shrine to Jenny's ego. Clothes spilling out of closets, makeup and skincare investments covering every surface in the bathroom, and the spare bedroom completely taken over by her influencer junk. Ring lights, tripods, boxes of fast fashion crap she bought for content and never returned. It didn't even look like my house anymore. It looked like the backstage of a low-budget fashion show. I stood in the hallway for a solid minute, just looking around and thinking, yeah, this isn't happening anymore. So I pulled out my phone, Googled junk removal services, and found one that promised fast, discreet, and complete. Perfect. I called them up, explained I wanted everything that wasn't mine gone, and told them I'd pay double if they could do it by tomorrow. The guy on the phone probably thought I was going through a messy divorce. I didn't bother correcting him. While I was at it, I also scheduled a deep cleaning crew. If I was going to wipe her out of my house, I was going to do it properly. No trace left. I wanted to walk into a place that felt new, not haunted by the ghost of someone who thought her Instagram following mattered more than real life. With the house plan set, I sat down at my desk and opened up my laptop. If clearing her stuff out of the house was step 2, then cutting her off digitally was step 3. We had shared streaming accounts, shared grocery delivery logins, even a shared Amazon Prime. She was hooked into everything. I went one by one, changing passwords, removing her as an authorized user, and locking it all down. Netflix? Mine. Hulu? Mine. Spotify? Mine. Credit cards? Mine. It felt like uninstalling malware from my life. Then I got to the good part, her influencer business. Jenny had this website she used to funnel everything through. Brand deals, contact info, her little portfolio of edited photos. And since I was the one who originally set it up for her, because tech stuff wasn't her vibe, I still had the login. I sat there staring at the dashboard for a good minute, tempted to nuke it completely. One click and her little empire would be gone. But no, that would have been too easy, too merciful. Instead, I changed the recovery email and phone number to mine. No big edits yet, no deletions. I was just making sure when the time came, I'd be holding all the strings. By the time I finished, it was late, and the house was still filled with Jenny's stuff. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, I felt calm. For the first time in months, I wasn't reacting to her chaos. I was creating order, a plan, step by step. That night, I slept better than I had in ages. No ring lights glaring at me. No endless TikTok scrolling blasting from the other side of the bed. Just me, silence, and the knowledge that Jenny's brand was about to have a very different kind of relaunch. Next morning, I booked a locksmith too. New deadbolts, new keys, fresh start. If Jenny tried her old key when she got back, all she'd get was a polite click of rejection. Tomorrow, the junk crew would show up. Tomorrow, the house would start to feel like mine again. And tomorrow was just the beginning. I woke up earlier than my alarm, which is rare for me. Usually, Jenny's phone was the household alarm, blaring some TikTok remix while she filmed a rise and grind story she'd delete an hour later. But that morning, nothing. Just silence. Honestly, it was the best alarm clock I'd had in years. I made myself coffee and sat in the living room, looking at everything with fresh eyes. The coffee table covered in lip gloss tubes, half-burned candles, and receipts from content lunches. The dining table buried under unopened PR packages she begged for online. And the corner of the living room stacked with Amazon boxes she never opened. It was like living in a clearance aisle. By 8:45, the junk removal truck pulled up. Two dudes got out, built like they'd been hauling furniture since kindergarten. They looked around, then at me. "So, what exactly are we clearing?" one asked. I grinned. "Everything that looks like it belongs to a wannabe celebrity. If it looks like it belongs to an adult man, it stays." They laughed, probably thinking I was exaggerating. They'd learn. I walked them through the house. Closet? Wipe it out. Bathroom? Anything that doesn't smell like soap or deodorant? Gone. Spare bedroom? Don't even sort. Just scoop. Jenny had turned that space into her personal QVC studio. There were tripods, 2 ring lights, racks of clothes still with tags, and piles of shoes she wore once for a photo then forgot existed. The guys didn't waste time. I stood in the hallway and just listened. The sound of boxes thudding, hangers clattering, and drawers slamming shut. It was music. Every thump out the door was another piece of her ego leaving my house. One of the guys walked out holding a massive framed print of Jenny's face. No joke, she had a 24 by 36 glam shot of herself hung up in the bedroom like she was a hotel lobby. The guy stopped, raised his eyebrows at me. "Storage," I said. He shrugged and carried it off. And yes, storage. I wasn't stupid. I'd arranged everything to go into a unit across town. First month prepaid, code set. I wasn't about to give her ammo by tossing her junk and letting her play victim. No, she could cry to her followers about how cruel I was. But at the end of the day, every piece of her fast fashion empire would be waiting for her in a locked cage she had to pay for. By mid-morning, half the house was empty. The closet looked like a closet again instead of a mall dressing room. The bathroom counter was down to my razor, toothbrush, and 1 bottle of body wash. Simple, functional, normal. Not covered in 97 steps of skincare bottles and sprays. And the spare room? Sunlight poured in. For the first time in months, it wasn't suffocating under a jungle of cheap polyester and ring lights. That's when my neighbor Phil strolled by with his dog. He slowed down when he saw the junk crew carrying out piles of handbags and clothes. "Moving out?" he called. I smirked. "Not me." He laughed, gave me a thumbs up, and kept walking. Even he knew. After the junk crew left with their truck stacked to the roof, the cleaning team rolled up. 3 women hopped out armed with vacuums, buckets, and rubber gloves. They had that look like they'd seen everything, so my mess wasn't going to scare them. I didn't have to explain much. They stepped inside, glanced at the empty rooms, and nodded like doctors prepping for surgery. Within minutes, they were scrubbing baseboards, vents, even the tops of the ceiling fans. One of them asked about a weird stain on the bathroom counter. "Bronzer," I said. "Don't ask." She just chuckled and scrubbed harder. While they worked, I sat at my laptop continuing the digital purge. Yesterday, I locked her out of Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. Today, I dug deeper. Uber, gone. DoorDash, gone. No more surprise charges because she had a craving for inspo sushi. Then I opened her influencer site again. I stared at it for a while, tempted to press delete. But nah, that would have been quick. Clean. She didn't deserve clean. I changed the recovery info to mine and closed it out. One day soon, that site would be my favorite tool. By late afternoon, the cleaners were wrapping up. The house smelled like lemon polish and fresh air, not hairspray and self-tanner. They even vacuumed under the couch cushions where I found 3 lost eyelashes and half a granola bar. Jenny was like a human glitter bomb. Her stuff got everywhere. When they left, I walked through the house slowly. Every room felt lighter. The walls didn't feel like they were closing in anymore. The spare bedroom especially, standing there all empty and bright. I could already see the setup. Dumbbells in the corner, a bench, maybe a rack for my tools. Finally, a space for me to build things instead of her fake studio. That night, I sprawled on the couch with a soda, watching the game. No ring lights buzzing, no phone cameras snapping, no staged date night content. Just me, the TV, and peace. And Jenny? She was probably somewhere in Rome, tilting her head just right for a pasta picture, thinking her boyfriend back home was still waiting to pick her up in her luxury SUV. Meanwhile, the SUV was sold, her stuff was boxed in storage, and her digital empire was under my control. She wanted space to build her brand? Fine. I'd just given her all the space she could ever want. And the best part? She hadn't even realized her stage was gone. Tomorrow, I wasn't just going to live in my house again, I was going to own it. And I meant that literally. The next few days were like watching my life reboot in real time. No more clutter, no more fake influencer studio, no more shrine to Jenny's ego. Just me, 4 walls, and endless potential. First thing I did was go furniture shopping. Jenny always picked out stuff that looked good in photos, but felt like garbage in real life. Skinny leg chairs that wobbled if you breathed too hard, a couch that looked sleek but felt like sitting on a park bench. Functionality didn't matter to her, only aesthetic. Well, now it was my house, my rules. I bought a new couch, huge, comfortable, the kind you can actually pass out on during a game. I pulled my oak coffee table out of storage, the one I built with my own hands years ago. Jenny hated it because it didn't match her vibe, but to me it was solid, real, and mine. Then I upgraded the TV to a bigger one and added a proper sound system. If I was going to reclaim my kingdom, it was going to be done right. The spare bedroom became the crown jewel of this transformation. No more racks of fast fashion garbage or ring lights blasting like a UFO. I brought in dumbbells, a bench, a squat rack, and even set up a workbench for my design projects. For the first time in forever, the room didn't feel like wasted space. It felt like mine. And you know what? That energy carried over to the rest of my life. With Jenny gone, I had free time again. Real free time, not hold this ring light while I film time. I started gaming late into the night without anyone whining about how it wasn't aspirational. I started working on my wood projects again. Even the air in the house felt lighter, like the walls weren't soaked in her fake perfume anymore. Then came the part I didn't realize I missed the most. My friends. Jenny always found my friends boring. Translation: they didn't give her free attention or fawn over her Instagram. Over time, she convinced me to hang out with them less. But now? Now I called them up and hosted a proper guys' night. The first Friday without Jenny, my buddies rolled in with pizza, wings, and enough snacks to fuel a small army. We watched the game on my brand new TV, lounged on the couch, and laughed like idiots. At one point, one of my friends looked around and said, "Dude, this doesn't even look like the same house. What the hell happened?" I smirked, leaned back, and said, "I remodeled. Started with the trash." The room erupted in laughter. It was perfect. Right in the middle of our night, my phone buzzed. Jenny. A picture popped up, her in front of the Eiffel Tower, doing that fake pout she thought looked mysterious. No text, no "how are you?" Just her flexing that she was in Paris while I was stuck back home. I laughed, turned my phone around so the guys could see, and they all groaned. "She's still at it," one of them asked. "Oh yeah," I said, and that's when I had the best idea. I snapped a quick selfie of me and the guys in my totally transformed living room. New couch, new TV in the background, oak coffee table front and center, snacks everywhere. Everyone was smiling, mid-laugh. I captioned it, "House looks different without you." Then I hit send. She replied instantly. She replied, "First, then, where's my stuff? Then, what the hell did you do to the house?" My phone buzzed nonstop for the next 10 minutes. Walls of angry texts, calls one after another. "This isn't funny, Anthony. You can't just do this while I'm gone. Answer me right now." I didn't respond to a single one. I tossed my phone on the coffee table, grabbed another slice of pizza, and laughed with the guys. If she wanted drama, she could scream into the void. The silence was the reply. She kept spamming me with texts, and each time I just ignored it. After that one selfie, silence was my weapon. Instead, I spent my time planning something for myself. I'd always wanted to ride my motorcycle down Route 66, but Jenny hated the idea. "That's not aspirational," she said once. Well, too bad. I booked it. 2 weeks on the road, just me, the bike, and endless highway. And I made sure my trip started on the exact same day her flight home landed. Timing couldn't have been sweeter. And then, with everything else falling into place, I sat down to write the email. Short, cold, professional. No fluff, no emotion. Subject line: important information regarding your return. Jenny, as per your request at the airport, I have ceased to be a part of your life. To that end, the following arrangements have been made. Your belongings have been packed and moved to a secure storage facility. Address: 123 Storage Way, Unit 42. Access code: 4321. First month prepaid. The SUV you were driving has been sold. It was in my name. The locks on the house have been changed. You are no longer a resident. I trust this provides you with the freedom you wanted. I will be out of town. I will not be available for further contact. Do not attempt. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Anthony. I read it over once, smiled, and hit send. That was it. Done. Clean. No begging, no explaining, no arguing. Just the facts, laid out like bullet points. If she wanted me gone from her image, she got her wish. She just didn't realize she'd lose everything else along with it. I leaned back, closed my laptop, and started packing my gear for the trip. For the first time in years, I wasn't planning around her schedule or her needs. I was planning for me. And damn, it felt good. That feeling stuck with me the whole 2 weeks leading up to her flight home. I was lighter, happier. Hell, I even caught myself whistling while packing for my motorcycle trip. Meanwhile, Jenny's texts kept rolling in like clockwork, half flexing, half panicked. The day of her return, I was already on a plane headed west. My friend Rustin, absolute legend, had agreed to keep me updated on whatever circus unfolded when Jenny touched down. And oh, he delivered. Apparently, Jenny landed and expected me waiting at the curb like her personal chauffeur. She stood outside with her 3 monster suitcases, scanning the crowd like I'd magically appear with balloons and a welcome home sign. When she realized I wasn't there, she called me. Then again. Then again. By the 10th call, Rustin said she was pacing, full-on meltdown mode. Eventually, she flagged down a cab. And not just any cab. One of those small ones where even getting a carry-on in the trunk is a fight. The driver had to wrestle her oversized luggage like it was a CrossFit competition. Jenny, of course, stood there filming herself looking sad and stranded, because even her breakdown had to be content. By the time the cab finally dropped her at my house, the meter was pushing triple digits. She tried her old key in the lock. Nothing. Tried again. Nothing. That's when the real show started. Rustin told me she pounded on the door like she expected me to appear from the other side. When it stayed shut, she sat on one of her suitcases right there on the porch, staring at the door like sheer willpower would unlock it. Then came the calls. 48 in 2 hours. Voicemails ranging from rage, "You can't do this to me," to pity. "We can fix this, Anthony. Just let me in." She even called her influencer friends, Billy and Karen. Guess what? Suddenly they were busy. Too busy to drive across town and play moving crew for her. Loyalty only lasts as long as the clout does, I guess. So finally, she had to call the backup plan. Her parents. 2 hours away. Rustin said when they showed up, it looked like a bad sitcom. Her dad was red-faced, yelling at Jenny about wasting his time. Her mom was crying like I'd locked their daughter out of Buckingham Palace. And Jenny? She was sitting cross-armed on her suitcase, glaring at the house like it had betrayed her. That was just the porch scene. The real fun started later that night when the smear campaign went live. Jenny and her two besties posted synchronized Instagram stories. Teary eyes, shaky voices, captions about the dark side of relationships. Jenny painted herself as the poor abandoned victim, left homeless and stranded by a man she thought loved her. If I hadn't been on a motorcycle under the desert sky at the time, maybe it would have stung. But the truth? It was hilarious. I had already inoculated everyone that mattered. Before I left, I'd sent a quiet message to mutual friends. Jenny and I broke up. She made it clear we wanted different lives, just reserved judgment. That was it. No drama, no story for her to spin. So when her crocodile tears hit Instagram, people weren't buying it. Comments under her posts were skeptical at best. Some even started whispering about the airport story, the one where she told me I'd embarrass her. Funny how quick that slipped out. Rustin called me the next morning laughing so hard he could barely breathe. "Bro, your front yard looked like a yard sale no one wanted to attend." Her dad yelling, her mom crying, Jenny screaming into her phone. Neighbors came out just to watch. Dude, it was like free entertainment. I pictured it all while riding through Route 66. Jenny sitting on her luggage throne, the whole illusion crumbling in real time. Her friends ghosting, her parents exhausted, her brand unraveling online. For once, I didn't feel like the background character in her performance. She wasn't the star anymore. She was just the one stranded outside, trying to play an audience that had stopped clapping. And me? I was already miles away, watching Red Rock Canyons glow under the sunset. Free, untouchable, and grinning like a man who just watched the credits roll on a bad movie. The best thing about silence? It drives people crazier than shouting ever could. Jenny had already humiliated herself on the porch, cried online for sympathy, and burned through her friends' patience. All I had to do was sit back and wait. But I wasn't just going to let her fizzle out. No, she deserved one last firework. Remember how I took control of her influencer website? The one she funneled all her business through? Yeah, I'd been sitting on that ace card, and it was time to play it. Late one night, I parked the bike at a campsite, pulled out my laptop, and logged in. Her portfolio was still full of those staged photos. Her leaning on my SUV, her twirling in dresses I paid for, her sipping cocktails she didn't buy. It was basically a highlight reel of my money, disguised as inspiration. Before I erased it all, I rotated the password, swapped the recovery email phone to mine, and turned on two-factor authentication. Now, even if she tried to claw her way back in, every code and reset came to me. Then I erased it all. Every filtered photo, every fake caption, with the total circled in thick red. Underneath, I typed, Brand undergoing strategic realignment. Please check back soon for updates. I hit publish, closed the laptop, and leaned back with the biggest grin of my life. Rustin later told me the timing was perfect. One of her dwindling followers spotted it almost instantly and sent her a screenshot. According to him, Jenny lost her mind. She went from glass of wine in a selfie mode to screaming banshee mode in 5 seconds flat. She tried logging in, locked out. She tried recovering the password, blocked. She called the hosting company, nothing. By the time she realized she had zero control, my phone was lighting up with her calls. 27 in the first hour alone. I didn't answer a single one. When she couldn't fix it, she did what Jenny always did, played victim. She jumped on her Instagram story, red-faced and sobbing, telling her followers how I had hacked her site and destroyed her career. She even used the word career, like she was a CEO and not just a girl with a phone and a ring light. But here's the deal. Her career only existed because of me. Without me paying for the trips, clothes, and dinners, she had nothing to post. She was crying about losing a job that was literally built on my wallet. When the crying didn't work, she changed tactics. Enter the legal threats. About a week later, my lawyer called me, practically giddy. "You're gonna love this one," he said, barely containing his laughter. Jenny had hired some fancy firm, or at least sent a letter with their logo on it, demanding that I restore her access to the house, return the car, and pay her support because I'd ruined her livelihood. My lawyer lives for this stuff. The man gets joy out of dismantling weak arguments, and Jenny had just handed him a gold-plated one. He drafted a response that was basically a verbal roundhouse kick wrapped in legal jargon. Attached were a copy of the deed to the house, my name only, clear as day, a copy of the car title, again, my name only, an itemized invoice of every expense I'd covered for her over the past year, rent, groceries, utilities, vacations, even the stupid studio lights. Her share of the total was more than anything she could ever claim I owed her. And then, the cherry on top. The letter ended with this polite but brutal line. If Miss Our Jenny Warkey wishes to pursue this matter in court, Mr. Anthony will be more than happy to countersue for repayment of these expenses. We strongly suggest she reconsider. Translation, please sue us. We'd love nothing more than to watch you get shredded in front of a judge. My lawyer told me he actually chuckled while signing it. He admitted he doesn't usually get this kind of low-effort target practice from ex-influencers, and he was savoring every second. Funny thing, the threats stopped immediately. No more letters. No more talk about the car. Not even a whimper about support. She folded like a cheap tripod. And just like that, her arsenal was gone. No house, no car, no website, no career. Her friends had ghosted, her parents were exhausted, and now even the law wasn't going to save her. The best part? She'd built her whole identity around looking like a star. But when the lights went out, there was nothing there. Just silence. That silence followed me all the way back from the trip. For the first time in forever, my phone wasn't buzzing with demands, complaints, or fake emergencies. No guilt trips, no assistant-level errands, no staged date night requests. Just peace. And that silence? That was better than any comeback. By the time I unpacked at home, Jenny had gone completely dark online. No new posts, no dramatic quotes, no selfies. The only trace of her brand was that screenshot of the junk removal receipt floating around, shared in group chats for laughs. I'd taken her empire apart without yelling once. No fights, no begging, no theatrics. Just logic, receipts, and silence. That was the kill shot. And man, it felt good to pull the trigger. Coming back from that motorcycle trip, I felt like a different man. No stress, no constant buzzing phone, no staged photo ops. Just me, the road, and the kind of silence you don't realize you've been missing until you finally get it. The silence didn't end when I parked the bike back in my garage. Jenny was gone from every part of my life. No calls, no messages, no nonsense. Her brand wasn't just quiet. It was dead. Word trickled back through mutual friends. Jenny had moved back in with her parents. That's right. Miss I'm a Global Influencer was now living in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by stuffed animals and posters she'd forgotten to take down. The storage unit pickup was apparently a disaster too. Her parents had to rent a moving truck to haul everything back, and the entire day was one long screaming match. Neighbors told Rustin it was so bad they could hear her dad yelling from the street. Her influencer career? Finished. She didn't have the money to keep up the image. No more shiny SUV to pose with. No more content trips she couldn't afford. No more wardrobe hauls she was secretly putting on my card. Her feed went from daily posts to recycled old photos, then to vague inspirational quotes about new beginnings. Basically, digital tumbleweeds. Even her friends, Billy and Karen, cut her loose. Apparently, they got sick of her crying about how I ruined her life, while simultaneously begging them for help. Those two weren't about to bankroll her lifestyle. Loyalty in her world only lasted as long as the free perks did. Then came the funniest part. A buddy of mine who works downtown called me out of the blue. Hey man, you'll get a kick out of this. Jenny came into the gallery yesterday. Tried to sell me some of your old furniture that you got rid of when you were clearing the place. Said she was an interior designer now. I laughed so hard I almost dropped the phone. Did you buy any? Are you kidding? It was all cheap junk with no character. I told her it was worthless. She flipped out, started ranting about how you destroyed her career. Honestly, man, it was sad. That was Jenny in a nutshell. Delusional. She thought she was a visionary, but the second the money dried up, the illusion crumbled. Without me, there was no brand, just piles of tacky furniture and expired skincare. Meanwhile, I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. My house was mine again. Every room had something real in it. My oak coffee table in the living room, my weights and tools in the spare room, my photos from the trip framed on the wall, memories that didn't need a filter to matter. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected for too long. Game nights, hikes, weekends at the ballpark, stuff Jenny had always called boring because it didn't get likes online. Turns out boring feels pretty damn good when it's real. The best part, though? Freedom. I could plan my own trips, buy what I wanted, do what I wanted, without someone asking if it fit the vibe. I didn't have to live in someone else's highlight reel anymore. I never hated Jenny. Not even after everything. Hate would mean she still had space in my head. What I felt was better. Indifference. She was just noise I'd muted. She once told me my life wasn't aspirational. And she was right in her way. My life wasn't aspirational for Instagram. It was real. Solid. Built on things that last. Friendships, work I'm proud of, furniture I actually built with my hands. Stuff that doesn't need an audience to matter. Jenny never understood that I wasn't just some background extra in her story. I was the foundation. And when the foundation walked away, the whole pretty set collapsed. She wanted a brand. I wanted a life. She got stuck with empty quotes and blurry old photos. I got everything else. And honestly, I wouldn't trade places for anything.